This is the angle addition postulate video. The angle addition postulate states that if point B lies in the interior of angle AOC, then the postulate describes that putting two angles side by side or adjacent with their vertices together creates a new angle whose measure equals the sum of the measure of the two original angles. So that sounds really complicated, but basically if you take two adjacent angles, so for example angle 1 here is adjacent to angle 2, okay, angle 1 and angle 2 are right next to each other. If I add those together, if I take angle 1 plus angle 2, I will get the entire big angle. So I would get AOC. Same thing as segment addition postulate. If you add the two small segments together, you get the long segment. Same thing with angles. If I add the two smaller angles together, I'll get the entire big angle. Alright, example 1. The measure of angle KNL is 110 and the measure of angle LNM is 25. Find the measure of angle KNM. So KNL, this chunk here says it's 110. The measure of angle LNM, so this other piece is 25. We're asked to find KNM. So KNM is the whole thing. So we're given the two smaller pieces. The red and the blue piece are small. If we add those together, I'll get the entire thing, which is green. So 110 plus the other small piece, which is 25, will give me the entire thing, which is 135 degrees. This entire angle, both of those together, is 135. Alright, example 2. Find the measure of angle 2 if the measure of angle 1 is 75 and the measure of angle ABC is 40. So find the measure of angle 2. So this is the angle that we're missing here. We don't know what this chunk is. The measure of angle 1, this chunk, is 75. If the measure of angle ABC, so this entire thing is 140. Okay, so again, angle 1 plus angle 2 would give us angle ABC, the whole thing. Okay, angle 1 is 75. Angle 2 is, we don't know. We don't have angle 2. And angle ABC is 140. So I can't just straight up add everything every time, because 75 plus 140 is not going to be the answer. Okay, it's supposed to be the two small angles add to give you the big angle. Well, I don't have both small angles. I have the big angle and one of the small angles. So, very similar to segment addition, I could add the two small pieces and get the big piece, or I can take the big piece and subtract the small piece, and that'll give me the other small piece. So if I subtract 75 from both sides, the other small piece must be 65. Okay, so I can set it up kind of like this in equation. Angle 1 plus angle 2 equals the whole thing, and then substitute in. Or you can just straight up say, realize that 140 is the big angle and subtract 75 right off the bat, and that'll give you 65. So this angle in here is 65. So sometimes you add, the two small pieces equal the big piece, and sometimes you subtract. The big piece minus the small piece gives you the other small piece. Alright, example 3. Find the measure of angle JKL and the measure of angle LKM if the measure of angle JKM is 140. So we know that JKM is 140. JKM this entire thing is 140. Okay, I don't know what these other two are. It wants us to find JKL and LKM, but I don't have them. Okay, I do have stuff labeled in there. JKL is 4x and LKM is 2x minus 10. So I can add them together. 4x plus 2x minus 10 equals the whole thing, which they told us was 140. Okay, solving for this, I'll get x, and then I can take x and plug it in for this piece, and I'll get JKL. Then take x and plug it into this piece, and that'll give me LKM, which is the two things it asked us for. Alright, when solving the equation, combine your like terms. 4x and 2x are like terms, so that'll be 6x minus 10 equals 140. Add your constant before your coefficient, so we'll get 6x equals 150, and then divide by your coefficient. So 150 divided by 6, x would be 25. Okay, 25 is not the answer. They didn't ask us for x. We just had to find x so we could plug it in over here and get 4x. Okay, so 4 times x, which is 25. 4 times 25 is 100. So this blue angle here, this half, this chunk is 100. I can then take 140 minus 100, and that means this chunk is 40. Okay, so when I plug into 2x, 2 times 25 minus 10, I better get 40. Okay, so you can plug into both, or I can plug into one and then subtract it and find the other, if you realize that. 2 times 25 is 50. 50 minus 10 is 40, which is what we said it was a minute ago. And then 100 plus 40 is 140, which it's supposed to be. Alright, example 4. Find the measure of angle ABC if ABD equals 70 and BDC equals 43. So find ABC. So we are looking for ABC, the whole thing. That's what we're looking for. They tell me that ABD, so from A to B to D, they're telling me this chunk here is 70. And then BDC, so from B to D to C, so this angle 2, this chunk here, they're telling me is 43. Okay? Alright, so this middle, this E, we didn't even need. That's just an extra piece in the picture, and you'll see that throughout geometry, where there's a whole bunch of mess in the picture and you only need certain pieces of it. And this is a good example of that. They gave us ABD, so they gave us this entire chunk. So I don't need anything to do with E. I have the two pieces of the angle that I need. If I take angle ABD, which is 70, plus 43, I'll already get the whole thing. I don't need anything to do with that extra ray or that extra angle that they put in there. Okay? So just 70 plus 43 will give you the whole thing, which is 113. Alright, example 5. If the measure of angle EBC is 55 and the measure of angle EBD is 20, find the measure of angle 2. So the measure of angle EBC, so that would be this angle, E to B to C. This whole thing here is 55. If EBD, this chunk here, EBD, is 20, find the measure of angle 2. So that's what we want here, the measure of angle 2. So again, this picture gave us extra angles. We don't need this chunk out here. We don't care. We have the entire red angle is 55, and then the blue angle, the small angle, is 20, and we want the other angle, which is 2. Okay, so 55 the entire thing, this entire thing here, is 55, minus 20, which is just this little chunk, will give us the piece that we are missing, okay, which is 35. Alright, last example. Find the measure of angle ABD if the measure of angle ABC is 110, so ABC, all of this is 110, and the measure of angle 2 is 36. So this piece here is 36. And we want ABD. ABD. So we've used the same picture multiple times now, given different pieces of information. So in this case, we are actually using the entire big angle, but we don't need this chunk here again. Okay? So 110 is the entire thing. If I subtract that piece that's 36, it will leave me the green piece, the ABD. So 110 minus 36 would leave us with 74, which would be this green chunk here. This chunk here would be 74. Okay, so sometimes you have extra information, and that's okay. You just got to label, and color coding helps. You got to label the stuff that you need and ignore the stuff that you don't need.